Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. I'm your instructor Joy. Thank you very much for your continued support here and also on my Patreon page, booking lessons with me, sending me nice donations, and then writing nice comments and questions, volunteering with your time. I really appreciate. So recently, one of my students asked how one could memorize a piece. I thought that was such a great question, so I thought I'll make a video about it. Whether it's a short or long piece, at some point we would like to memorize it, or we must memorize it. And you're wondering, why do we have to memorize it? Can't we always play from music? Memorization can be a very good skill, very good tool to have, because once you memorize, your eyes are free, which will allow you to watch your bow, contact point, watch your left hand. Also, not only that, frees your eyes to control your other technique, but also it allows your other senses, such as listening widely and observing what is all happening. It helps all those. That's all the good things that you can come with. And also, when you play fast pieces, fast passages, it is very hard to read and play at the same tempo for most of us. So what we do is we kind of memorize a small chunk that could be 4 notes, 6 notes, 8 notes, memorize shortly, and that way we can take our eyes off, read it quickly, and then our eyes are already to the next passage, next group of 4, 5, 8, whatever the notes, group of notes are. So we probably were already doing it. But when we try to memorize a concerto piece that's an hour or over an hour or sometimes hours long, or sonata pieces, it gets a little complicated. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can apply right away and will help you to memorize it. So now when it comes to memorizing a piece or memorizing anything, there are 2 types of way people do. First, intellectually, understanding the structure, whether it's a structure of music, structure of other content, understanding the structure, and therefore you kind of put things together like you put the puzzles together. One piece goes there, last piece goes there, and the middle piece goes like that, something like that, structure-wise. That's first way. That's how I do. And a second way is instinctively, using our senses, such as by hearing, orally, or sometimes by visualizing. Picturistic visualization can be also helpful to memorize. With some people just learn by heart, by playing over and over, and it kind of happens. Even though that is what a lot of young musicians do, young musicians meaning under 10 years old or under 15, they do a lot of repetition, a lot of practices, and therefore your muscle kind of remembers what it is, and that's how they mostly memorize. But when you only rely on that one, with a little change of the environment of where you're performing, or with a little nervous condition, that could get less reliable. So I find it's very important to understand the music or memorize the music from the understanding the structure, even though memorizing piece just by heart, by hearing, or by repetition is also one way of doing it. If you can combine those, that would be ideal. Now, you're saying, but I don't know much about music theory. I never studied harmony. How do I know a musical structure? So I'm going to show you a simple way. So when people say there are many different composition forms, such as sonata form, rondo form, fugue, canon, or blah blah blah. Basically, whatever it is, even though that's a very good idea to study all this music theory and the composition form, and you should invest it later when you have time. But before you get into that, just look at your music. There's always some kind of melody. It's easy to pick that repeats over and over. At least twice, most times more than twice. And that is your good start. And that should be your a little basic structure, how to understand your musical structure. Let's say Twinkle Twinkle, that So there's a beginning happening. We know this melody, almost everybody knows that one. But then in the middle something else happens, such as this. Then the very beginning melody that we all know comes again. That should be your clue. The beginning part, which was Twinkle Twinkle, that's the melody that repeats over and over. And that happens at the beginning and the end. And then in the middle, there's something else happens, which was then goes back to the beginning. Now this is one of the very standard way a lot of concertos use, and sonatas too, which we call the sonata form. I'm overly simplifying, but basically what it is, at the beginning a certain melody happens, in the middle something else happens, development, at the end happens again, which we call recapitulation, meaning whatever happened at the beginning, which we call the exposition, happens at the end again, either exact same form or with a small change, but almost the same. Not every music starts like that. There is sometimes the melody repeats many times, more frequently, but there's different variation in between. Or sometimes the melody repeats many times in different key, different starting note, but easy to recognize and making harmony within, which we call the fugue, canon, all that one, which sometimes we sang as in a group, in a summer camp or church, or sometimes at school. That's fun to sing. Now, our clue should be, notice all these different kind of composition form, there's a common theme going on, which is repeating melody. That is our clue. See where your repeating melody is. Based on that, you find a different, what the changes are. Or first, see where the repeating melody is and see how often it repeats, and whether it repeats exactly the same or with a slight difference. And if so, what is exactly different? That's your big structure. Then you start fleshing things up, seeing what happens between those repetitions. Sometimes between repetitions, there's complete other key gets put in, or sometimes there's completely different theme happens, just like a Twinkle Twinkle, like that. That's a good start. Now another thing. Also, when there's a little changes, see if you can not just try to memorize it, but while analyzing the difference, see if you can understand whether the music is going up or down. Like Bach Minuet in G. So we have it ends like this. It goes la da da dee. It's going up. Then I'm doing second time, same thing, melody again. Is it same? Now, second time, the ending is slightly different. So what I did second time was I went down. Remember first time was, it went from bottom to up. Now second time, it's almost similar, the ending goes down. So that should be clue. Exact or similar melody happens twice. First time going up, la da da dee. Second time, la dee da 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 da. Yeah, it goes like this. Here, second time. Yeah, here coming down. Now, completely different. And it gets developed, yeah? Of course, one could spend hours and hours talking about the musical structure, but long story short, when you memorize, those repeating notes, when it repeats, whether it repeats exactly the same with a difference, and how different it is it going up or down or totally different. Sometimes the ending is completely different. They make their own ending, which we call it coda. It's its own ending on its own. You don't have to know all these names. Again, back to the repetition, back to the melody, it repeats itself. Whether it's a simple tune or let's say Vivaldi A minor. Same idea. The beginning melody, it happens a couple times throughout the piece. See where it repeats, and at the end of each melody, how it develops. The first time, it goes like this first time, but second time, or sometimes, and sometimes, yeah. So near the end, I'm kind of going fast, so that I don't want to make this one too long. So last time when it repeats in this concerto, it goes like this. And then it goes to the completely different ending. But nevertheless, it comes back to the basic melody. Yeah? So, just to show you, it is very important to understand the structure and put things together. The clue is always where is melody, where it repeats, and whether it repeats exactly the same or different. If so, what is different? Then, what happens between those repeating melodies? Yeah, I hope this gave you some ideas. I hope you can try it yourself. Knowing how to memorize piece reliably, not just only muscle memory, but also understanding the structure, can be a very strong tool and make you a very reliable violinist, so that you can perform all you work so hard. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all happy practicing and hope to see you again. Bye bye.